Because it's always a pleasure to meet new descendants or people with new stories. And then, of course, we have a special place in our hearts for all the people who are here more than one time. Because you're all very special to us. You make our purpose for what we do even more fun. Just to know you, to know your stories, to know that you feel so strongly about preserving this history that you are willing to travel a distance and, of course, use your own personal treasure to take care of that as well. And so we're just so excited to have you here. And having worked in career development and that sort of work for many years here at the college, one of my primary roles is to, there's some chairs up here, ladies, is always to get started when we need to seek a curator. And every time we have hired a curator, and then the next one comes, it's always the best one we've ever had. Every time. And I can't say that ever was there a time where we hired somebody that we were so disappointed in that was like, oh, what were we thinking? They all have had that special niche. They have had a special skill, a special focus, and it was so exciting when I started trying to get a hold of these people who have now gone on to, I don't want to say bigger and better things, but other things. And I'm sure that what they're going to tell you when they have a little time to visit is this was a really good stepping stone for them. And we continue to be that. And so when we seek a curator, we typically go through the museum associations that we belong to, and so we are finding the new graduates, the people who have a burning desire to share in this history, even if they don't know about it. Because I think I would say 3 of our curators had no knowledge of the orphan train, or basically no knowledge of this movement until they applied for the job. And so today, and of course, Kaylee has just been a dream come true. She has done so much for us in the 2 short years that she's been here. I think sometimes when we get a curator, we just kind of go, we need to do this, 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 and this. And it's like, each thing is like a 10-month job, and then here's another 10-month project, and it's one person working on it. So it can be overwhelming, I know, because I've been overwhelmed down there before. And so, excuse me, they really have worked so hard for us and helped us actually put Concordia on the map now. We really are on the map as far as tourism is concerned, and really we impact the economy of our community in a significant way. And our community recognizes that. So that's very pleasing to us, though that wasn't what we set out to do originally. I mean, that wasn't our purpose. So when Kaylee came to us and we said, oh, we need to do this, this, and this, and she goes, oh, that's not a problem. I know how to fix this, and we'll take care of that. And she has. It has been amazing. If you haven't seen the archive room lately, she knows where everything is, every little detail, every little document, every little scrap of fabric that we have, she knows where it's at. And so she really has been helping us work towards federal accreditation. We're not there yet, but that's one of the things that we would like to see happen. Thank you, Muriel, is federal national accreditation for our museum. And so we're on the path now. We're not there, but we're going to get there. And so we have 2 of our former curators with us, which is just makes me so happy to see both of you. And I think, Amanda, you took over from Muriel. So Amanda was the only one who was local that we have hired. She was actually volunteering at our museum, working alongside Muriel, when Muriel found a new step that she wanted to take and moved on. Amanda stepped into that position. And the one thing that I will never forget is that with Amanda came an entire team, because her family lives here, and her mom and dad are very good volunteers, and her nieces and nephews, and I mean the whole crew was just always on board every time we needed help. So let's see, we'll hear from Muriel first if you want to visit just a little bit. We kind of talked about where you were when you came to us, what you thought overall, and then where you went and what you think now. So this is Muriel Anderson Zachary, and Muriel was our second curator.
Good morning. Yes, I'm Muriel. I was number 2. When Wanda first sent me the message, I went, I think I was here right after number 5, like the 5-year reunion. So then I thought, oh, that dates me. But here I am. I was here, I started in about 2009. I was one of those fresh out of grad school curators. I think when I did my phone interview, I had to Google the orphan train movement because I was one of those curators that didn't know about it. But I very quickly fell in love with the topic and the stories and the people. And I'm going to try to keep it together. I was so happy to walk through the museum yesterday and see the things that we all talked about when we were first new about the train car and the archive room. And Wanda gave me a sneak peek and I was so happy. All of these big projects and these sort of dreams that we talked about for the little over three and a half years that I was here, or 4 years, I don't even know how long I was here, but anyway, all of these things that we talked about are coming true. And the parking lot, oh my goodness, it was just things that you don't think make a big difference, but they really make a big difference. So from here, I actually went to the State Museum in Jefferson City, Missouri. I ended up being the assistant director there, and now I am the site administrator for a historic site in Missouri as well, taking care of a historic grist mill and covered bridge. And so, but the foundations of experience that I had here, we even ended up installing printed window shades in an exhibit at the State Museum in Jefferson City. So anyway, it's one of the, it was a foundational experience for me in my career, and I'll forever be grateful for you ladies for bringing me out from Southern Illinois to North Central Kansas. And the stories that I took from here, from the Orphan Train Museum, I've done presentations throughout my career, still am giving presentations about the Orphan Train movement in Missouri, reconnected with some folks in central Missouri that had given talks and stuff. And so anyway, it's just been, that's been my trajectory, and this has always been a part of my experience and my career, and I really appreciate it. So thanks for inviting me back.
What else did you find when you were living here?
I found a husband. I took him back with me. My 2 kids were here yesterday.
She has 2 darling little kids, and
a little girl and a little boy, and so we're back visiting my husband's folks as well. So
Thanks.
kind of,
it worked well for,
It did. It worked very well.
Yeah, we tried to plan in advance just significantly because we knew they were coming from all parts of the country if they were able to make it. So then when Muriel took the next step, and like I said, Amanda Wallmeyer was on hand, and we said, Amanda, do you want this job? And she said, yes, I do. We didn't have to interview. We didn't have to have a training period.
Oh, we didn't interview.
No, we did?
Just a little one.
Oh, the formality was, do you want this job? Because we knew she'd been down there working for probably a year or longer.
At least, yeah.
Doing lots of volunteer things. She was very conscientious. She was always there when she said she was going to be there. It was so nice to have that second person there and available to work with Muriel. We weren't having a lot of visitors at that time. They were starting to come, but we have kind of a hard and fast rule now that we never just have one person at the museum. So we try to have 2 people, and it's almost always the curator and then a volunteer or 2. And it's been working pretty well. We have lost a few of our volunteers, and so we do struggle to keep that covered, but we do have a goal to do it, and we will do it. So like I said, Amanda came with a full team, and we just enjoyed having her so much. I remember the move, you moved to the office, right? Mm-hmm. To the front. Mm-hmm. And so where the gift shop is now, Amanda moved her office up there because she needed to be able to see when visitors were arriving. And it was kind of difficult sometimes in that back office, and she didn't always have a person to help her. So, but I do remember the boxes of files and moving all the stuff and getting everything set up, but it seemed to work.
Sit between my dad and your husband.
Okay. Well, I would like to have Amanda Wallmeyer now come up and share a little bit of her experience with us.
Thank you very much. All right, so like she said, my name is Amanda Wallmeyer, and like Sue said earlier, I did my master's in history at University College Dublin. And then after that, I tried very hard to stay in Ireland, and that did not quite work out. And so I moved home to where my parents lived here in Concordia, and felt extremely fortunate to find something in my field, something to help me grow in my profession in north central Kansas. Who knew that could happen here? So I started, I think, in 2012. And the first big thing that we did was the Smithsonian The Way We Worked exhibit that thankfully was not, when they first told me about it, I thought they meant it was that March, was in like 2 months. Thankfully it was a year from then, so we had a little more time to plan than I initially thought. Let's see what else. We went down, I actually knew about the orphan train from school growing up. Somebody in my elementary school in Waukene must have known an orphan train rider, and so we did a unit on it, so I was already familiar with the movement and just got to learn so much more about the history, met so many people. We got to go down and see Mary Ellen Johnson in Arkansas at one point and really learn about how this organization developed and the passion behind preserving all of these memories. If we weren't here doing this, nobody else would. And so it's excellent to see all of the growth that's happened over the years. Since my family still lives here, I've gotten little glimpses behind the scenes every once in a while of what all is happening. And like Wanda said, the volunteers down there, having 2 people to work on things and have guide tours, be the knowledge base for visitors coming in is just phenomenal growth that has happened over the years. And I just see it continuing to grow and grow, which is very rewarding to see something you worked on for so long continue that. So now I am at Johnson County Library. I'm the local history librarian, and my main program is called The Past is Prologue, that focuses on items left out, misrepresented, or glossed over in our history books. And so our April presentation was actually Kaylee coming to talk about the orphan train. So we had a fun little full circle moment, and yeah, it's been very rewarding. Like Muriel said, I have continued to give presentations on the orphan train and make sure people know that this is here, and just continue that awareness. So it's great to be here. I'm so glad this worked out. So thank you very much.
Okay, I think we're ready to hear from a couple of other curators who couldn't be with us. The first curator that we hired came to us from an internship in Texas, and she had gone to college in Colorado. And what we did was, if you've seen any pictures of when we brought all the materials up from Springdale, there were mounds, there was a semi-load, boxes and things piled. And we told Stephanie, make us a museum. And by golly, she did. Which was it was just one of those amazing things. We just opened the door and walked in, and it was there. And I have to say, we still get comments to this day on how well laid out our museum is. And so we've kept the basic bones. We have added and subtracted and changed, but the basic bones of the layout are still there. So we will hear from Stephanie Heyer. What's her married name?
I don't know, I can't remember.
I'm so sorry. I can't remember either. But here's our first curator.
Hello everyone, Sorry. I have to duplicate my screen instead of extend my screen.
So we'll have a minute. It's nice to see we have some new people from Nebraska, Beatrice, Nebraska. And then, where are you folks from?
Topeka, Kansas.
Topeka, Kansas, okay. And are you a descendant or your wife?
My mother had three, she grew up with three friends or cousins that came on the orphan train.
Three,
in
wow.
Osborne County.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll look forward to...
Julia Kelly?
Pardon?
Julia Kelly?
It was Julia McKenna.
Uh-huh.
Becker, yeah.
Yeah, I wrote a story on them
Oh,
for the
really?
newspaper.
Okay, I brought the information about what my mother shared with us.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Then we heard Pippa at the Down Storytelling Festival
Yes.
years ago.
Yes.
So that got us back.
Yes,
Also.
yeah, she'll be here this afternoon.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're excited to have Pippa back. Okay, I think we're ready for Stephanie.
Hello everyone, my name is Stephanie, and I was honored to be the first curator at the National Orphan Train Complex. And I just want to first say a huge congratulations on 20 amazing years. That is such an accomplishment, and I'm so proud of you guys. I was asked to come on today and talk to you a little bit about our initial thought process in designing the original exhibits. I think like a lot of people, I didn't know a whole lot about the orphan trains when I first started. And so it was important to give visitors a general timeline of what happened in this important part of our history. And so we wanted to talk about the who, what, when, where, why, how, and just give people that general knowledge. And so that kind of encompasses the main part of the exhibits. One of the things that initially struck me when I started learning about the orphan trains was the orphan train rider stories. I think one of the first things I was handed was the volumes of orphan train rider stories, and reading through those, you get such a sense of what these children went through. And personally, I've always loved to listen to people tell their life stories. And I was actually honored to be able to meet some of the orphan train riders and hear them tell their stories. And they were all just such amazing men and women. And so we knew that we needed to include as many of their stories in the exhibits as we could. I think it is just so powerful to be able to hear history from the people who actually lived it. It just makes so much more of an impact than reading about facts and dates and that kind of thing. So we definitely wanted to include that. Another thing that really struck me was the photographs that were preserved from this time period. They were just so amazing and powerful, and I think looking at the photographs, they can convey so much emotion and so much more than just sometimes words can. And so we wanted to take those images and blow them up into almost larger than life-size images to kind of draw the visitors in and give them a sense of what these orphan train riders were going through. And so that was kind of our original thought process. There was obviously a lot more that went into the design and the research of the exhibits, but those were kind of our main ideas and things that we wanted to get across to somebody who was coming in and knew nothing about the orphan trains. So since leaving the National Orphan Train Complex, I actually moved to North Carolina, and I was a curator at an art and history museum there, where I was able to continue my love of telling untold stories, and through a lot of interesting exhibits there, and I got to meet a lot of wonderful people. So then after almost 10 years there, we actually decided to move back to Colorado, where I'm originally from, and my life kind of took a path that I never really expected it to. But right now I am currently homeschooling my 4 amazing children. I have a 10-year-old son, an 8-year-old daughter, and and almost 6-year-old boy-girl twins. So life is definitely busy and they keep me on my toes, but I'm excited to be able to include the history of the orphan trains in our curriculum, because I think it is so important to be able to pass on this knowledge and pass on these stories of these amazing people to future generations. So I just want to say, I hope you guys have an amazing celebration and another 20 successful years. Thank you guys. Bye.
So if you have toured the museum, and I think maybe some people haven't been there yet, you will notice the beautiful window shades that have photos of orphan train riders on the window shades. That was Stephanie's solution to protect the artifacts inside the building. We knew that we had to cover the windows with something, and she came up with that idea. And it's a very great idea, and I think, as Muriel pointed out, it has been copied many, many times. People will say, where do you get those done? Where do you find these? We have a local company in our community who has produced all of our exhibit pieces. Any of the photos that you see hanging on the wall, the window shades, the window coverings that are now in the train station. If you haven't toured yet, you will see those. That is our next step, is to cover all those windows with orphan train riders, because again, that building has a lot of light in it. It's hard to cool, especially in the summer, because of all those big windows, but our intent is to cover those with orphan train riders eventually, so we're working towards that. So now we'll hear from the curator who was able to assist Kaylee in getting a running start as our new curator. Shaylee was here I think she was here for the longest. I think she might have been here 7 years. So if you have been to Celebration previously in other years, it probably was Shaylee that you were visiting with or dealing with. She had the most energy, I think. She did drink a lot of energy drinks and a lot of caffeine, but she was just on the go constantly. And she is the one that we have to thank for the statue program. We kind of kicked it around. She had a descendant that she was working with, and they wanted to honor their mother, and we were trying to develop a way to do that would do her justice and also benefit us. When we decided to have that statue, and it's like, well, where do we put it? We had that brand new little pocket park downtown, and that's where Miriam Zeter ended up, was down at that little pocket park. And from there, and I used to say, if we get 10 statues in this program, won't that be wonderful if we have 10 statues in Concordia? And by golly, today, I think at 4, we will unveil number 44. And that really doesn't account all of ours down at the complex. We are counting simply the ones that now have plaques with them. So that was a huge milestone. Shaylee also did a great deal of research while she was there. I think she and Lori really collaborated on a lot of projects for research. And she dug into children of color who rode the orphan train and did a really marvelous job finding all of that information. So I think we have, and yesterday was Shaylee's birthday. She has defended her thesis. She has been in a graduate program in Sweden for 2 years, and she graduates this weekend. And I said, oh darn, so you're not coming for celebration? She goes, no, but she sent us a message, and so we'll hear from Shaylee now. Shaylee George.
Hello everyone. Happy 20th anniversary, Notch. I'm so sorry that I couldn't be there in person to help you celebrate this incredible milestone. The National Orphan Train Complex has done an amazing job upholding the original mission of OSA and the Orphan Train Riders to share the history of the Orphan Train movement, create a safe and loving place for Orphan Train descendants to discover and remember their ancestors, and inspire the loving care of children for generations to come. The Orphan Train family that Notch has created is uniquely special. From the riders, descendants, board, curators, head researcher, volunteers, Concordians, and visitors, the warm and welcoming complex stands out from all other museums in my opinion. I will forever be honored to have been a part of Notch's incredible work. Being able to help create a hometown for orphan train riders and their families in Concordia has been a highlight of my life. Thank you for letting me be a part of the Notch family, and thank you all for what you do to keep the stories of the orphan train alive. Charlie, can you wish Notch a happy 20th anniversary? Yeah.
Yay.
Charlie and I love you, and we can't wait to come visit you soon.
Oh, wonderful.
So Charlie was our doorbell at the Orphan Train Complex. And we have just discussed recently putting some kind of an alert system on our visitor door, because sometimes, you know, we're all getting older and sometimes we can't hear when somebody comes in. So we thought, well, maybe we need to put some kind of a little bell or something, since we don't have Charlie to bark for us anymore. But it's been so fun. And when we interviewed Shaylee, she was, I think, number 5 on our list. Is that right, Susan? Do you remember? We did a Zoom interview, of course, or whatever it was at that time. And we always ask the same question. She was lowest on our list out of, I think we had 12 candidates for that position that time, all across the nation. And Shaylee was in Wyoming, and she was number 5 on our list because she had a different degree than what we were looking for, but she had the museum studies. And so we said, why would you be interested in this history? And she said, well, I'm adopted. And in another day and time, in space, I could have been an orphan train rider.
Yeah.
And we all just went, oh. And that really made our decision for us. Her interest, her skills. So she came to us, and like I said, she just was that person who just runs constantly, and she did. In fact, sometimes I had to get on her because she was down there in the evenings working, and it's like, Shaylee, you have to have a life. You have to take vacation. She would have vacation stacked up. You have to get out of here and do some other things. So we don't want her to leave, but you know. So then came Kaylee, who is, again, as I always say, the best curator we've ever had. And so, did you want to say a few things?
I guess.
Okay. This is Kaylee Carson. She's the first curator to come to us as a married person, which we are enjoying too.
They enjoy it because my husband is free labor sometimes.
As much as possible.
Well, thank you guys so much for all being here. You'll hear more from me tomorrow morning. But I came to this job straight out of my undergraduate degree from Utah State University. I'd lived in Topeka, and so I was looking for a job right out of college that would take me somewhere new but still kind of familiar. Because I didn't feel ready to move all the way across the country yet, so Kansas felt familiar. So I started looking at the Kansas Museum Association page and found this job. I was one of those who did not know very much about the orphan train movement before I interviewed for the position. I had to listen to some podcasts and read up a little bit on it so I could be prepared for the interview. But now I know so much more about the orphan train history, and I can't wait to spend the rest of my life telling more people about this history. So thank you guys all for being here.